Welcome back to Comic Frontline fans. I'm Mike Spider Slayer, bringing you Season 1 of Frontline Flashback. So welcome everybody. This is a brand new video series where I just take a random comic book series and talk about it for a little while. It could be a few story arcs, it could be one story arc, it could be whatever. And then once I'm done with the particular comic book that we're talking about, then we're going to go on to Season 2. So which series did I decide to go into depth about? Well, the first one is Miss Marvel Volume 2, the series that took place in 2006. My personal opinion, my favorite Miss Marvel series, or Carol Danvers series for that matter. The writer was Brian Reed at the time, and the artwork is done by Roberto Della Torre. And the artwork is absolutely gorgeous throughout this series. It's so pretty, and the colors are actually gorgeous by Chris Sotomayor. So really well done here. So let's talk about this series. So first things first, in this brand new series at the time, in 2006, this book does a great job at going into the description of who Carol Danvers is and what she did. How she was in the Air Force, and she, flew planes and things like that. So the book doesn't go into great description, but the really cool thing about this is it shows one of the best villains, B-rated villains I ever come across, and that is Stiltman. The dude is just so generic, but for some reason you gotta give him, credit where credit is due, because he's got this tenacity of building this suit that makes him super, super tall. So we get to see Stiltman terrorizing the city. He gets his new armor, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to destroy everybody, and no one's going to save you guys." And it's kind of awesome. And then when Carol sits down and swoops, smacks him in the face, there's this car that goes flying, and she saves these two little boys, and she from the car hitting them, and the two boys are just like, "Oh, wow." And there you see gorgeous Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel, in the black costume. It's funny how everything is better in black, and they're just all in awe about her. They're just like, wow. And she's so, like, godly-like, and she's gorgeous, and it's just a sight to behold, right? And so this whole time, when, after she saves the city, she's also telling her best friend, Jessica, Drew, this whole particular story, on what's going on. And the other thing is that we find out in this book is that Jessica's having a tough time trying to, I guess, find an identity for herself. Not Jessica, Carol. How she's finding this identity for herself. And, she's telling Jessica this, and, she's trying to get her story published, and she's having a tough time, again, finding herself. And so she's not sure if she should be an Avenger, or if she should, go out on her own. And she just feels like she can do better. She shouldn't slack off. She feels that she should step up to the plate and be a better hero. So in the particular issue, Jessica gives her this advice. She's like, "Hey, listen, Carol, go out there, save the world. Just don't do it half-assed like some of the other things that you do," because she takes things for granted at times. And what I loved about this issue is you get to see her relationship with Jessica Drew, and you can see that relationship is so genuine, and I really appreciated that in this issue. So later in the day, we wind up seeing Carol flying through the sky, and she comes across this comet, and it's flying 1 billion miles an hour. And so right away, Carol's first instinct is to actually call Captain America. So she goes and she calls Captain America, and Captain America's like, "Hello." And then Carol's like, "Hey, there's this comet flying through the sky. I've been chasing it for an hour. I don't know what to do." And so Cap's like, "Dude, the Avengers are somewhere else, and me and Sharon are out here. We're fighting stuff, and we're fighting against Hydra agents," which always seems Captain America is dealing with. And they're like, "Sorry, we can't help you." So Carol's like, "All right, so if I'm going to be doing this hero thing, I got to do it myself." And that's what I, sworn that I was going to do. So screw them. And so she chases after the comet. She goes to this comet, and it winds up crashing down on this diner. There's innocent victims everywhere. And then what comes out of this particular what hits the ground, where it's none other than the actual brew. They emerge from this meteor, and it's just like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? And it's just not one creature, it's like a shitload of them. And basically, that's how the issue ends. So, what do I think about this book? Great introductory book. Has a wonderful introduction of who Carol Danvers is, what she did. You get to see a nice little generic battle as she's telling this story to Jessica Drew, who's her true friend, and then we get to see the adventure begins. I love the struggle that Carol has throughout this issue about what identity she is. She's kind of going through an identity crisis, where she fits in the hero universe. And I love how she's taking a stand of her own to try to do her own thing, and then right away she comes across a brew. It's brilliantly written. I think it's awesome. We're going to see what happens with issue number 2. And once I get done reading so many of these issues and we move on to season, right before we go on to the next season of another series, I'm going to give the series that I read up to this point an overall rating. So this book was really good. I definitely recommend the first issue of this. And we'll see where this series goes if I recommend the overall series. I can tell you now, I'm going to recommend it because I've read this series before and it's pretty awesome. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this first episode of Frontline Flashback. Tell me what you thought in the comments below. Are you a Carol Danvers fan? Have you ever read this series before? What's your favorite Ms. Marvel series, or what's your favorite Captain Marvel series? And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. And this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.